Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us on Business Morning. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwagu. Well, the federal government has reiterated its commitment to ensure that it drives revenue collection and ensure yearly review of the Finance Act when the annual budget is being prepared. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab was speaking at the Deloitte Economic Outlook event with the theme, Expectations for 2020, Budget 2020 Strategic Revenue Growth Initiative and Finance Act 2020. She says key reforms such as the Strategic Revenue Growth Initiative will be implemented with increased vigor to improve revenue collection and expenditure management. According to her, the Finance Act 2020 would enable the ease of business, support MSMEs, promote fiscal equity, and enable realization of the budgeted revenues.
The Finance Act is the first of its kind in the past 20 years in our country. It contains about 56 sections and 97 different changes to 7 different tax laws. And this is the result of various tax reform works that have been conducted over the years and the work of the National Tax Policy Review Committee, which we put together. This committee included private sector participants. Deloitte was there, PwC was there, KPMG was there. The Big Four were there, they supported us. But we also had the Joint Tax Board, so the states were represented, and we had all the revenue-generating agencies that had a role in this. So the review is a large review. What we did in the Finance Bill of 2020, we selected some of the recommended measures for amendments and brought them into the 2020. So we still have other measures that we didn't bring in because we wanted the ones that would be easy for the National Assembly to accept and to pass, and that will have also the quick wins. So there's more bills that will come. We're going to do Finance Bill 2021. The President has directed that with every national budget will be accompanied by a finance bill. The essence is to make sure that we make continuous and gradual fiscal adjustments to be able to meet the aspirations of the national budgets. But we're going to do this responsibly to make sure that it's not negatively affecting businesses, that businesses have enough input in the process, and also that they have enough time to adjust. The objectives of this finance bill is to remove fiscal equity, to attain fiscal equity by mitigating instances of regressive taxation, to also reform domestic tax laws to align with global best practices, to introduce tax incentives for infrastructure as well as the capital market, and to support small businesses in line with the ease of doing business, but finally, not the least, to raise revenue for government to meet its various fiscal challenges. As Minister of Finance, Budget and Planning, I was really disturbed when all we were hearing in the media is the increase of the VAT. This finance bill has increased the VAT by 50% from 5% to 7.5%. But there are 97 other provisions, 90% of them positive for businesses that are in this finance bill. Yet, all we keep seeing in the media is the increase of the VAT. But I'm glad lately, I've seen a bit of turning in the narrative in the media. The finance bill is to stimulate Nigerian economy. Tax experts urge to leverage opportunities in the Finance Act. The Finance Act, or the Finance Bill, is not only about increasing the VAT. There are some aspects of it that are not being discussed. So let me just show you a few of the unsung aspects of the Finance Bill. One of the major objectives of the Finance Bill is to ensure fiscal equity. And in order to do that, we had removed the provision for double taxation, which is arising from excess dividend in relation to tax provisions. We've also clarified commencement rules. We've made provisions for unit trusts, and we removed ineffective bureaucracy by the removal of the requirement to obtain approval from the Minister of Finance for deductibility of management fees. We've also introduced, we've removed excise duties which apply to import accessible goods. We've also made some advance income payments charged on interim dividends. We also amended the minimum tax provision, which removes imposition of tax on assets and capital and limits exemption to small businesses. The finance objective also has one of its major policy drives, tax law reform to attain global best practice. So we have made provisions to limit the abuse of interest deductible. We have also made provisions to enable taxation of the digital economy. We've also made provisions for real estate investment company. So this is tax exemption of rental and dividend income from income tax aligned with international best practice. We've also allowed now in the finance bill correspondence with the tax authorities via electronic messaging. So you can send email to the tax office. You don't have to physically go and send and file a letter. We have also, as part of the main thrust of the finance bill, fiscal infrastructure as well as capital market provisions. So we have income tax exemptions for real estate investment companies. We have eliminated withholding tax on unit trust investments. We've also introduced income tax exemption on regulated securities lending transactions.
And also at that Nigerian Economic Outlook 2020 event by Deloitte, the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amaechi, says efforts are underway to construct the Port Harcourt to Maiduguri rail line. Mr. Amaechi gave account of what has been done so far in the area of infrastructure development. He also says the President has also approved the construction of 2 new seaports.
The President is doing everything possible to fund transportation. That's one. And you need that. If you don't have that, you won't go anywhere. So you need presidential backing. That's why when people say Amaechi, I say call the President. Because the day he withdraws that his pen in funding, I'll be like in another ministry. The second one is that the President is ready to support my movement to any part of the world to borrow money. And you economists know that the problem is not in debt. The problem is revenue over GDP, not debt. We don't have enough revenue. So if we can borrow and construct all these infrastructures, the President is willing to support us to do that. So for us in transportation, we're doing that. You ask, let's leave railways, because I've told you about 5 railways we are constructing. I've told you about Lagos-Ibadan. What I've not done is to tell you the day to complete it, but it's very soon. Those who say they're using it and it's 3 hours is because it's called test run. Test run. You don't speed when you're test running. Why? You don't know where there will be a mistake or where there is something that is not supposed to be, and then there will be an accident, and then we'll have a problem. When they finish test running, I've told you we'll do either 1 hour, 15 to 20 minutes, or we'll do 2 hours for those who want to stop at every station. I've told you about Itabewari. It's completed. If you say it's a lie, join me in the next 2-3 weeks. I'll be going on inspection on Itabewari to see how ready it is for the President to commission. That is ready completely. With 1,000 housing estates for workers ready, workshop, yards, everything ready, tracks ready. Okay, there is one outstanding project, and that is communication and signaling. But for a single track lane, you can be running while they're fixing communication and signaling. Even though they've also told us that before April, May, the signaling will be ready and communication equipment will have come in. I've told you about Lagos-Ibadan. I've told you about Kaduna, Abuja. And now that we're about to start Ibadan to Kano. And the next one we will start, and I hope that by the time we have the conversation in the next 1 week, will be Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. I need to give you the figure that there are about 30 million tons of cargo between Lagos to Kano, And we're not constructing based on sentiments where people are shouting, oh, Amaechi, you will come back now after your tenure to the south. What is happening in the south? They are attacking me in the south, south, and southeast. The truth, there are 30 million tons of cargo between Lagos and Ibadan. Should we leave that and construct the one where the Minister of Transport comes from, which is Lagos to Calabar? There are 11 million tons of cargo between Port Harcourt and Maiduguri. Which one do we construct first? Which one? No, it's not Calabar. You construct Lagos to Kano first because it has 30 million tons of cargo. But out of these 30 million tons of cargo, I doubt that 29 million will not be imports. If you say it's a lie, go and verify. See, an illiterate talking economics. 29 million tons of those cargoes are imported items that we're getting. So I've told you all that, and that's about railways. I've given you the figures we have spent. $2 billion from Lagos to Ibadan, out of which the loan is $1.4 billion. So the rest is $100 million the federal government is paying by itself. And that's what's called discipline, fiscal discipline. We are paying from our pocket. I was shocked, with all respect to the former president, that $1 billion, 500 million federal government, 500 million China Exim Bank. Why did we need to borrow money to do Abuja Kaduna? Why should we even borrow money at all to do our railways when under Obasanjo we had about $68 billion in our SS crude account? The president has approved the construction of 2 new seaports. I don't know how many of you know that. One in Bonny, one in Warri. I don't know how many of you know, and I've said several times, that we don't have seaports in Nigeria. You know, we say that several times. What you have is river ports. Apapa tees off the ocean, Tinkan tees off the ocean, Onne tees off the ocean, Port Harcourt seaport. It's worse in Warri and Calabar. The silting is so bad that you will know that you're in a river. So the first seaport that will take place in Nigeria is the Lekki seaport. The next one will be the Bonny deep seaport. And the next one will be the Warri seaport. But there is one by the Akwa Ibom government. Is it called Ibom Deep Seaport? Huh? And I've told them, I will give you all the support you need. Ask them. As the file gets to my office, the same day, I'm standing and sending it out. And it goes out immediately.
And in another development, economist and financial management consultant Dr. Biodun Adedipe projects a 2.45% to 2.55% growth rate for Nigeria in 2020. Dr. Adedipe was speaking at the CIBN 6th National Economic Outlook Conference.
Now, the World Bank said they expect Nigeria's economy to grow by 2.1% this year. IMF came with its own more recent 2.5%. But we expect a tempered growth of 2.55%. And why do we say that? Because Nigeria is still spending money on infrastructure. Okay? If we keep spending on infrastructure, that will have an impact on what I said earlier on, velocity of transactions. And of course, ultimately, also help in terms of logistics. If I begin to talk about logistics here, about China, we won't finish this conversation. So I won't go into that at all. But that's a critical area. Inflation rate, I don't expect the rate to come down anywhere. In fact, what I expect is between 12.5 mentioned there and 13%, maybe a little above 13. And why? You cannot escape inflation if the economy is growing. So to expect growth in the economy and also dream of single-digit inflation is an aberration in economics. So that will happen. And of course, there's also an official reason, which is undisclosed, why exchange rate will remain within that band. And the major reason for that is unlikely to be resolved this year. So what we expect to happen there is in 2021. And until that happens, we may not see the exchange rate move from where it is officially. And of course, the way we project outlook of exchange rate in the alternative market is to look at the futures. So if you look at the futures rate, that gives you an idea of what to expect, in another 10 months, 12 months from now. So, and of course, crude oil price, that one, nobody can predict it, but that is what we have as an expected average for the entire year. The Middle East, that supplies most of the crude oil to the global market, is ever volatile. It doesn't take much to start trouble there. One man throws a stone to another, and then there'll be trouble. So there's no how that will not continue to impact the price of crude oil. So what should government focus on? Human capital development, it was mentioned in the keynote address. Of course, private sector participation in infrastructure development. This government needs to really employ the PPP model, public-private partnership, to deliver infrastructure projects. Private developers are more cost efficient and, of course, more time efficient than public entities. That is the truth of it. From evidence, anyway, not based on sentiment. And, of course, I will talk about the need to give incentives to local manufacturing. There are a few other things there. This now is the final part that talks to you and I as people doing business in Nigeria. Estimated population, 203.72 million people as at the 14th of January this year. Now, your organization needs to find its bearing among that population. Because everywhere we go around the world and discuss Nigeria, the reference always is to our population, the number. The second thing they talk about, that makes us peculiar, is that we buy anything. They say, bring anything to Nigeria, they will buy it. No matter what it is. Quality or no quality, they will buy. So the same opportunity foreigners see, we also can see them. So the question is, who are these people? Where are they? How many of them across the key sectors, and there are 6 key sectors, has your company connected to? And the 6 key sectors in the last 10 years consistently have been agriculture, ICT, of course you see oil and mining there with around 10% of GDP. We have, of course, trade, then we have manufacturing, and then real estate. Between those 6, they've accounted for between 74% and 80% of our GDP in the last 8 to 10 years. In fact, the latest data for Q3, and thank God Femi is here, because it's one of those that also process and produce this better quality data for us. Now, the latest data showed that they accounted for slightly over 80% of our GDP. So, and the question is, those people vis-a-vis those sectors, how do you connect your business to them? And of course, it means look at that structure that I just showed now, which is in the pie chart. Which ones are the dominant sectors? I've mentioned there 6 of them. Which ones are the growth sectors? Those that are growing very fast. And don't forget this in closing, that the new generation of Nigerians that are emerging, that tomorrow will become the decision makers. They don't think now of owning properties to live in. Because what we keep hearing when we interact with them is they live a mobile life. They want to move from one place to another. So if any of them will invest at all in properties, it is to just have it as an investment. Secondly, they are not minded about buying cars. They are not interested in that. And we once said it on this platform. Why do I need to keep 2 SUVs in my garage? When all I need from a vehicle is to convey me from one place to another. So choices, habits are changing. And so disruptors are coming on. But the question is, if you don't disrupt your own business, somebody else will disrupt you.
And what are the major factors that pose a risk for businesses globally in 2020? You'll find out after the break.